Let's start off with legal news. We've got Universal Music Group, who is a huge player in the music industry. They've got some big names.
The biggest one would be Taylor Swift, but then Drake, The Weeknd, and I didn't even know that the Beatles were signed.
And this is a really symbiotic relationship for both the record companies and TikTok, because TikTok users want music and the record companies and the artists want their songs to go viral. If you ask the record company, do you want the songs on TikTok? Yeah, the record company's going to say maybe for the right price. Okay, so what happened? Universal Music can't come to a deal. TikTok then has to remove all the music. So what you get are these videos now of the person lip syncing or dancing or to funny gyrations, but it's just muted. That's what happened overnight.
I'm actually really surprised that they weren't able to reach any sort of agreement here on this, just because of, I'm sure you remember like all of the negotiations that Spotify had with UGM for a long time, right? Taylor Swift's music was all pulled off of there. All UGM's artists were pulled off of there as well. But I know Taylor Swift and a few others were, and they were just upset over compensation as well. And they came to a resolution there. And so I'm just surprised. And they're still paid so little. And so I'm so surprised that with TikTok being, I think, bigger in terms of publicity than Spotify, that they weren't able to come to some sort of resolution here.
It's just a money thing. Let's talk about the legal standard. What's to stop you from just putting Taylor Swift Shake It Off in the background and then recording it and doing your, the answer is copyright law. And there's a bunch of huge misconceptions out here about the use of music and videos. Some people will say if it's a really short clip, like 5, 10, 20 seconds, then you can use it. Not true. Complete urban myth. You can't take a Shake It Off song for 10 seconds, dance to it, and have a really short video and be good. So you need some sort of license. If you're a commercial user like we are, our law firm has a TikTok account, we're a commercial user, we have access to a special library on TikTok. If you're an individual creator, then you get that library. You remember when Donald Trump was running for president, and the custom among our presidents in the United States is to release your tax record.
Are they required by law to do that?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Donald Trump did not want to release his. And this one guy, Charles Littlejohn, purposely gets a job as an IRS consultant, premeditated years in advance with the specific goal of leaking Trump's tax returns. And he also leaked other wealthy Americans' tax returns. So the guy committed a crime. The judge said it was an attack on our constitutional democracy. The New York Times promoted him as a whistleblower. If you're a progressive liberal Democrat, this guy's a whistleblower. If you're a Republican, maybe the guy's a traitor. But he ends up, the judge threw the book at him. He gets 5 years in prison, which was the maximum sentence for these kinds of paper crimes. I hope it was worth it. You're doing 5 years in Club Fed. Yeah. Nonetheless, Mr. Littlejohn gets 5 years. I just want to say, if he were in China, he'd probably be executed. And this was a headline in the Wall Street Journal. Chinese banker gets to live, that wasn't the exact headline, but the banker gets to live another 2 years. Chinese banker was sentenced to death. I think he accepted $29 million in bribes. He did some insider trading. He did some other bad things.
But who hasn't accepted $29 million in bribes every once in a while, though?
In 2021, there was this other guy who got the death sentence, and within a month they executed the guy. He was the chairman of a Chinese debt management company. Do you know how long it takes to execute someone at Texas? Like 11 years. The Chinese, they get it done in 1 month.
I don't know. Death penalty is such a can of worms, right?
We have a list of things that they'll kill you for in China. If you're a soldier and you're a coward or you surrender, they'll kill you. Embezzlement, bribery. Common robbery. Here's my favorite. Doing anything that will separate you from a group of Chinese communists, cultural separatism, advocacy of separating yourself from any larger group, ethnic, cultural, gender, and the whole, I might be a woman or thing, even though I was born the opposite, that would be a form of separatism that you would be put to death for. We have Gina Carano, who was separated from her employment with the Disney company, who was fired from Mandalorian.
As a kid, read all of the books that they had outside of the movies before Disney purchased it. In The Mandalorian,
she posted some social media posts where she compared Jews being rounded up during the Holocaust to right-wing political advocates. She mocked COVID mask wearing.
people said that she was mocking trans people.
It's undisputed that these kinds of things are all protected by free speech. There are some exceptions to free speech. The classic example to the exception of First Amendment free speech is yelling fire at a thief. Your free speech to say the word fire is limited just on general public safety. She's suing Disney. Her angle is that it's a gender discrimination thing.
And not only did they fire her, they put out a very public statement saying that her positions were like reprehensible and like terrible, and that's a big part of the lawsuit as well, the defamation part.
The Carano comes back and she's suing for a California labor code violation, saying that there's been a whole lot of male actors out there that have been very public with their social media posts, and they didn't get fired. So therefore, gender discrimination.
Yeah, putting stuff out there that is more left-leaning, but could be as offensive to people who are right-leaning as these right-leaning things that Gina Carano said were to people who are left-leaning, right? And so the California labor law that you're talking about, one of the basic tenets of it is that a female employee can't be fired for doing the same thing that a male employee is doing, right? That gender discrimination. Yeah, not a good play here on Disney's part.
Yeah, we don't know where it goes. Maybe it's during the hype of the Marvel franchise and Captain America and Iron Man are out there espousing their views on social media. Maybe Disney's making so much money, they look the other way. Who knows?